Have you ever felt the pressure to fit in, to follow the crowd, to adhere to the expectations of society, and to mold yourself into what others want you to be? It's an experience we all know too well. But here's the thing, what if I told you that conformity could be the greatest barrier standing in the way of your success, happiness, and true potential? In today's video, we're diving into something much deeper than simply following trends or being normal. We're going to explore the dangers of conformity and why individuality is the true key to living a fulfilling and meaningful life. If you've ever wondered why the pressure to blend in feels so overwhelming, or why you feel stuck despite doing everything you think you're supposed to do, this video is for you. It's not just about rejecting society's norms. It's about embracing your uniqueness, daring to be different, and discovering your true potential by standing out instead of hiding in the crowd. We're going to look at how conformity stifles innovation and creativity, and why embracing individuality is more important than ever before. What does it take to stand up for yourself and carve out your own path in a world that constantly pushes you to blend in? It takes courage, and I'm here to help you discover how to unleash that courage, how to find your tribe, and most importantly, how to define success on your own terms. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with anyone who could use a reminder about the importance of individuality. If you want to support the channel further, consider hitting the super thanks button below. Your support makes it possible for me to keep bringing you content that encourages you to live your best, most authentic life. Now, grab a seat, get comfortable, and let's explore why being yourself is the only path to real success. In modern society, there's an undeniable force that affects nearly all of us: conformity. The desire to fit in, to belong, and to be accepted by the group is deeply ingrained in human nature. It's something that dates back to our evolutionary history, where being ostracized from the group could mean danger and survival risks. In today's world, this need to conform manifests in many ways. Social media pressures, peer expectations, and societal standards all contribute to this unspoken demand for uniformity. But what happens when the desire to blend in becomes the dominant force in our lives? What happens when we focus so much on fitting and that we lose sight of who we truly are? Can this constant striving for acceptance actually prevent us from realizing our full potential? Conformity might feel like the safe path, but in reality, it can be a trap, a subtle yet powerful force that keeps us from exploring the vast and unique potential that each of us holds within. The pressure to conform can be overwhelming. Just take a look at the way trends emerge on social media. For example, a viral meme, a popular hashtag, or a trending fashion can all influence the way we think, the way we act, and even how we present ourselves to the world. These trends often shape our decisions in ways that we don't even realize. We become less focused on what we want and more concerned with what the group thinks. We start to tailor our lives according to the expectations of others, often sacrificing our own identity in the process. This is especially evident in teenagers and young adults, who are most vulnerable to the pressures of conformity. The fear of being left out, of not fitting in, can be so powerful that it leads them to make choices that align with group norms rather than their true desires. The social dynamics that drive conformity are not just limited to the younger generation. Adults, too, are often swayed by the need to belong. Whether it's in the workplace, in social circles, or in the broader community, there's a constant tug of war between individuality and the desire to blend in. The workplace, for example, often fosters an environment where conformity is valued over creativity or unique expression. Employees are encouraged to fit in with company culture, often at the expense of their personal beliefs or ideas. While it's important to maintain professionalism, this emphasis on conformity can stifle the creative potential that could lead to innovative breakthroughs. The idea of fitting in becomes an illusion of safety. At first glance, it feels reassuring to go along with the crowd, to follow the established norms, and to avoid standing out. But this very comfort can keep us from pursuing the things that truly excite us. In reality, the need to conform can prevent us from taking risks, from trying new things, and from stepping outside our comfort zones. We start to make decisions based on what is expected of us rather than what we truly desire. This results in a life that feels safe, but also stagnant. We may achieve success by society's standards. But at what cost? By blending in, we forfeit the opportunity to stand out in ways that could lead to greater fulfillment. Think about the countless stories of innovators and change makers throughout history who defied the norms of their time. Steve Jobs, for instance, didn't become the revolutionary figure he is known for today by conforming to the traditional ideas about technology and business. Instead, he challenged the status quo, thinking differently and envisioning a world where technology could be both functional and beautiful. His individuality and his willingness to stand apart from the crowd led to the creation of Apple, a company that would forever change the way we interact with technology. Jobs was not interested in following the trends that everyone else followed. Instead, he created his own path, and by doing so, he revolutionized an entire industry. In the same vein, think about artists and musicians who have made their mark by being unapologetically themselves. Prince, for example, was never one to conform to the standards of the music industry. His unique blend of funk, pop, rock, and soul not only set him apart, but also allowed him to influence generations of musicians to come. He didn't fit into any one category or genre, and that was precisely what made him unforgettable. But the power of individuality isn't just reserved for famous figures or innovators. We all have the potential to break free from the confines of conformity and to embrace our own unique strengths and perspectives. It's easy to get caught up in the notion that we have to be like everyone else to be accepted or successful, but in doing so, we lose out on the chance to truly live life on our terms. When we follow the crowd, we silence our inner voice. We ignore the things that make us special. By doing this, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to experience life fully and authentically. This brings us to a crucial point. Conformity can stifle growth. When we suppress our individuality in favor of fitting in, we become less capable of critical thinking and creativity. Our capacity for innovation, problem solving, and even personal growth diminishes. This is particularly dangerous in environments that thrive on creativity, whether it's in the arts, in business, or in education. The very systems that could lead to progress can be hindered by groupthink, where no one dares to challenge the status quo. In the world of business, for instance, the corporate environment can often feel like a place where originality is discouraged. We are frequently told to think within the box and follow the rules of what's expected. This may create an illusion of order, but it also stifles the creativity that businesses need to stay competitive. Without fresh ideas and new ways of thinking, companies can fall behind, and industries can stagnate. Social media has exacerbated this tendency towards conformity, creating what some call echo chambers. We find ourselves surrounded by people who think, act, and speak just like us. This creates a feedback loop where our beliefs are reinforced and any dissenting opinions are filtered out. While this may feel comfortable, it often prevents us from expanding our minds or considering alternative viewpoints. It also creates a situation where people are more likely to conform to popular opinions, whether or not they align with their true beliefs. The pressure to conform is not limited to any one age group, and it is certainly not restricted to a particular demographic. Whether it's in high school, college, or adulthood, the social pressure to fit in can shape our decisions in ways we don't always recognize. It's easy to get lost in the expectations of others and to forget about our own needs and desires. But as long as we continue to conform, we may never discover what truly makes us happy or what we're capable of achieving. The good news is that breaking free from conformity is possible. It requires self-awareness, courage, and a willingness to take risks. But it also means finding the people and the environments that celebrate individuality rather than suppress it. We can start by seeking out communities that encourage us to think differently, to challenge assumptions, and to embrace the things that make us unique. Surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals who value authenticity can give us the support we need to step outside our comfort zones and pursue our passions. Embracing individuality is not an easy task, and it comes with its own set of challenges. It requires the courage to face judgment, to stand alone when necessary, and to ignore the constant pressure to conform. But the rewards are immense. When we choose to live authentically, we open ourselves up to new opportunities, new experiences, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. The journey toward individuality is a lifelong one, but it is one that is worth embarking on. The price of conformity is high. Our potential, our creativity, and our authenticity are all at risk when we choose to follow the crowd. By embracing who we truly are, we can live a life that is not only fulfilling but also truly our own. In a world that constantly pushes us to blend in, the true power lies in standing out. And in doing so, we not only unlock our own potential, but inspire others to do the same. Conformity is rooted in a fundamental aspect of human psychology, the herd mentality. As social creatures, humans have always had a natural inclination to be part of a group. For millennia, being accepted into a group or tribe was essential for survival. The need to belong, to be part of a larger collective, is hardwired into our minds. This drive often pushes us to conform to the behaviors, ideas, and beliefs of those around us. From the moment we are born, we are taught, either directly or indirectly, to follow the rules of the social groups we are part of, whether it be our family, our school, or a larger society. The fear of being rejected, of standing out in a way that makes us different, is one of the most powerful forces shaping human behavior. This fear of rejection is a critical component of the herd mentality. It's not just about wanting to be liked or accepted, it's about survival. In early human history, being cast out from the group was often synonymous with danger. Without the protection, resources, and social structure of a group, survival was difficult, if not impossible. Even today, this fear remains deeply embedded in our psyche. The idea of being alone, of being socially ostracized, taps into our primal fear of being vulnerable. As a result, many of us are conditioned to avoid standing out or challenging the status quo. When we conform to the expectations and norms of our social environment, we often do so without questioning why. Conformity can be so ingrained in us that we follow the rules of society without ever asking if they align with our own values or if they serve us. Instead, we go along with what everyone else is doing, simply to avoid the discomfort that comes with standing out. The fear of rejection, the discomfort of being different or not accepted by the group, often overrides our desire for individuality or personal growth. It's easier to blend and then to face the potential social consequences of being different. In childhood, the pressure to conform is most apparent. Whether it's in school, where kids often face the pressure to dress the same, talk the same, or behave in a certain way, or in social settings where peer pressure shapes every decision. Children are constantly urged to adhere to the collective expectations. This pressure to conform begins at a young age. When children are socialized to accept the group's norms as the standard for acceptable behavior, the desire to fit in is so strong during adolescence that it can lead many young people to make choices that don't align with their true desires or values. For example, think about the way teenagers feel pressured to wear the latest fashion trends, listen to certain kinds of music, or even act in a certain way just to be accepted by their peers. This desire to fit in is driven by the deep-seated fear of rejection, and it often leads teenagers to abandon their personal tastes, interests, and even beliefs to be accepted by the group. As we grow older, the pressure to conform does not necessarily dissipate. In fact, the stakes can get higher. As adults, we find ourselves navigating complex social dynamics in both our personal and professional lives. In the workplace, for example, employees are often expected to fit into the company culture. This might mean dressing in a particular way, adhering to a set of unspoken rules about how to behave, and even suppressing individuality in favor of the group's interests. Corporate environments, in particular, can be breeding grounds for conformity. Companies often value team players, those who go along with the group, follow the established protocols, and don't rock the boat. In such an environment, employees may feel compelled to suppress their own ideas, creativity, and perspectives in order to conform to the company's collective expectations. This leads to a situation where individuality is stifled, and innovation is often sidelined in favor of maintaining harmony and order within the group. But what happens when this conformity becomes a dominant force in society? It creates a culture of groupthink, where critical thinking is discouraged, dissenting voices are silenced, and new ideas are suppressed. In groupthink, the desire for consensus becomes so strong that individuals within the group stop questioning their own assumptions and beliefs. They adopt the collective viewpoint without considering alternatives, and this lack of critical thought can lead to disastrous decisions. A classic example of groupthink in action can be seen in the Bay of Pigs invasion during the Kennedy administration. Despite the obvious risks and potential for failure, the decision to proceed with the invasion was largely driven by the pressure to conform to the group's collective thinking. The result was a humiliating failure for the United States, with lives lost and reputations damaged. One of the dangers of conformity is that it often leads to a loss of individuality. When we constantly seek approval from others, we can lose sight of who we truly are. We may begin to mimic the behaviors and beliefs of those around us, believing that by doing so, we will gain the acceptance and validation we crave. Over time, this can erode our sense of self, leading us to feel disconnected from our own values, desires, and goals. It's as if we are wearing a mask that hides our true identity, and the more we wear it, the harder it becomes to remember who we were before we started conforming. This loss of individuality is particularly evident in the way people behave on social media. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok encourage us to present curated versions of ourselves that align with societal ideals of beauty, success, and happiness. We craft our profiles to reflect an idealized version of our lives, one that is often far removed from the reality of who we truly are. The need for likes, shares, and validation creates a vicious cycle where we are constantly seeking approval from others. We adjust our behavior, our appearance, and even our thoughts to fit the expectations of the online community. Over time, this can lead to a sense of emptiness or dissatisfaction because we are no longer living authentically. The pressure to conform doesn't just affect our behavior, it also shapes our thoughts and opinions. When we're constantly surrounded by the same viewpoints and ideas, it becomes increasingly difficult to think independently. We may find ourselves agreeing with the opinions of the group, not because we genuinely believe in them, but because it's easier than voicing dissent. This creates an environment where individuality is suppressed and creativity is stifled. In such an environment, new ideas are not welcomed because they threaten the status quo. The lack of critical thinking and the fear of challenging the group's opinions can lead to missed opportunities for growth, innovation, and progress. In educational settings, too, conformity plays a significant role in shaping students' learning experiences. While it's important for students to learn core knowledge and follow some basic guidelines, too much emphasis on conformity can prevent them from developing their own unique perspectives. Instead of fostering creativity and independent thought, some educational systems reward students for following the rules and regurgitating information rather than encouraging them to question, explore, and challenge the material. In such an environment, students may feel that their true thoughts and ideas are not valued, leading them to suppress their own creativity and adopt a do-what's-necessary-to-pass mentality. Conformity also affects our ability to solve problems and innovate. When we're so focused on fitting in and following the norms of the group, we limit our capacity to think outside the box. Creativity thrives when individuals are encouraged to think independently. to challenge assumptions, and to explore unconventional solutions. When conformity becomes the dominant force in a group, however, the flow of new ideas slows down. People begin to avoid taking risks or suggesting new solutions because they fear they will be met with resistance or rejection. As a result, innovation is stifled, and the group is unable to move forward in meaningful ways. The fear of rejection and the desire to fit in can be powerful motivators, but they also have the potential to limit our personal growth and collective progress. While conformity can provide a sense of security and belonging, it comes at a significant cost. By constantly seeking approval from others, we risk losing sight of who we truly are. We suppress our individuality, creativity, and critical thinking, all of which are essential for personal fulfillment and societal progress. To break free from the constraints of conformity, we must first acknowledge its existence and understand its impact on our behavior. We must become aware of the ways in which we are influenced by the opinions and expectations of others. Once we recognize the power of conformity, we can begin to cultivate the courage to embrace our own unique perspectives and ideas, even if they go against the grain. By doing so, we not only free ourselves from the limitations of the herd mentality, but also pave the way for greater creativity, innovation, and personal fulfillment. When we think about the idea of fitting in, we often associate it with a sense of safety and comfort. The idea that if we blend into the crowd, we won't be judged, rejected, or ostracized can feel incredibly reassuring. This is especially true in a world where social acceptance is often equated with success. The desire to belong is an inherent part of human nature, and it's no surprise that many of us seek this form of security in our daily lives. However, there is a hidden danger in seeking too much of this kind of security, the illusion that conformity provides safety when, in fact, it can be one of the most limiting forces in our lives. When we make the decision to blend in too thoroughly, we risk losing the very thing that makes us unique and prevents us from reaching our fullest potential. The false sense of safety and conformity is something that manifests in various ways throughout our lives. As children, we are taught to follow the rules, adhere to group norms, and make sure we don't stand out too much. Whether it's at school, in our social circles, or even within our families, there's often an expectation to conform to certain behaviors and values. This behavior can sometimes be helpful in creating harmony within a group, but it often comes at a significant cost to our individuality. We are conditioned from a young age to believe that acceptance within a group is the key to survival and success. As a result, we are constantly striving to fit in, even if it means compromising who we truly are. As we grow older, this pressure to conform doesn't go away. In fact, it often becomes more pronounced in adulthood, in professional settings. For instance, there is often an unspoken demand to fit in with company culture. Employees are expected to follow certain behavioral norms, dress codes, and communication styles to be considered professional or to advance in their careers. While this can create an environment of order and unity, it can also stifle creativity and individuality. The pressure to conform in these settings can lead to a cycle where people begin to suppress their own thoughts, ideas, and unique perspectives in favor of fitting into an established mold. The desire to be accepted within the group often overrides the need for authentic self-expression, and this can lead to a diminished sense of purpose and fulfillment. The idea of blending in becomes especially evident on social media, where conformity is often rewarded with likes, shares, and validation. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok have created environments where users are encouraged to present curated versions of their lives, ones that align with societal standards of beauty, success, and happiness. The more we conform to these expectations, the more approval we receive from our peers. However, this approval is based on a false sense of self. Social media encourages a highlight reel version of life, where only the most polished and perfected moments are shared with the world. This curated version of ourselves becomes the version we present to the world, but it often bears little resemblance to the reality of who we are. The more we engage in this performative version of ourselves, the more we lose touch with our true identities. It's easy to see why the desire to fit in can feel so appealing. After all, human beings are inherently social creatures, and the desire for acceptance is deeply ingrained in our psychological makeup. For much of our evolutionary history, survival depended on being part of a group. The notion of being cast out from the tribe or the community was a matter of life or death. This ancient instinct to belong still influences our behavior today. However, as society has evolved, the stakes for social acceptance are no longer so dire. While being excluded from a group may cause emotional pain, it no longer carries the same survival consequences it once did. And yet, the desire to conform remains a driving force in many of our decisions. The danger lies in the fact that conformity often leads us to suppress our true selves. When we focus too much on fitting in, we stop questioning whether the behaviors and beliefs we are adopting actually align with our values and goals. We begin to act in ways that will get us the most acceptance, rather than in ways that reflect who we truly are. Over time, this can create a sense of disconnection from our authentic selves. We may start to feel as though we are living someone else's life, going through the motions without any real sense of fulfillment. The problem with seeking safety through conformity is that it prevents us from growing and evolving as individuals. If we are always focused on maintaining harmony and fitting in with those around us, we are less likely to take risks, try new things, or explore our full potential. True personal growth comes from stepping outside of our comfort zones, from challenging the norms, and from pushing the boundaries of what is considered acceptable or normal. It's only by embracing our individuality and daring to stand out that we can truly unlock our potential. Take, for example, some of the most influential figures in history, people who broke away from the norm and paved the way for progress in their respective fields. Steve Jobs, for instance, was not afraid to go against the grain. At a time when the personal computer industry was dominated by big companies like IBM, Jobs and his company Apple revolutionized the way we interact with technology. Jobs didn't follow the conventional path. Instead, he created a new standard for innovation, design, and user experience. His success didn't come from blending in. It came from his willingness to take risks and challenge the status quo. Another example is Albert Einstein, whose theories of relativity challenged the accepted understanding of physics in his time. If Einstein had simply conformed to the established scientific beliefs of his day, we would never have experienced the revolutionary changes in our understanding of space, time, and the universe. Einstein's ability to think differently, to question long-held assumptions, and to embrace his own unique perspective was what allowed him to make such groundbreaking discoveries. His legacy is a testament to the power of individuality and the importance of daring to be different. These examples demonstrate that true innovation and progress often come from those who are willing to stand apart from the crowd, to embrace their uniqueness, and to challenge the existing norms. It's not easy to go against the grain, especially when society encourages conformity. The fear of rejection, judgment, or failure can be paralyzing. However, it's important to recognize that living authentically is the only way to experience real growth and fulfillment. When we choose to conform to the expectations of others, we enter into a cycle of self-satisfaction that provides temporary relief, but ultimately keeps us from realizing our true potential. We may feel comfortable in the short term, but we also run the risk of never achieving the things we are truly capable of. This cycle of self-satisfaction can lead to a life of complacency, where we do just enough to get by, but never push ourselves to do more or be more. This sense of complacency is dangerous because it keeps us from exploring new opportunities, learning from our mistakes, and growing as individuals. In order to break free from this cycle, We need to have the courage to embrace our individuality and stand up for what we believe in. This doesn't mean rejecting all social norms or behaving in ways that are intentionally disruptive. Rather, it means being true to ourselves, expressing our authentic thoughts and ideas, and being willing to stand apart from the crowd when necessary. The fear of judgment and rejection may never fully go away, but it is only by facing these fears and choosing to be ourselves that we can experience the true freedom of living authentically. The choice between safety through conformity and the potential for personal growth through individuality is one that we all face. It's easy to stay within the bounds of what is familiar and comfortable. It's easy to follow the crowd and avoid the risk of standing out. However, the rewards of embracing our individuality are far greater. By choosing to express ourselves authentically, we not only open the door to personal growth, but we also inspire others to do the same. In a world that often encourages conformity, those who dare to be different are the ones who change the world. There's a comforting allure in conformity, fitting in, following the crowd, and not standing out. The feeling of safety that comes with blending into the group can be incredibly appealing, especially when the fear of judgment or rejection looms large. In a world where acceptance often equates to success, there's a strong social pull toward following the norms, mimicking behaviors, and adopting the thoughts and opinions of those around us. It's a way to avoid conflict, to feel validated, and to ensure that we're not left behind or ostracized. But what happens when the need to fit in becomes a driving force in our lives? Is the sense of safety it provides genuine, or is it just an illusion that comes at the cost of our individuality and potential? At first glance, it seems logical that when we fit in with those around us, we are insulated from criticism, rejection, and exclusion. After all, humans are social beings, and our survival throughout history has been dependent on being part of a group. For millennia, being a part of collective was a necessity, whether for protection, sustenance, or companionship. Today, even though physical survival isn't a concern in the same way, the desire to belong remains deeply embedded in our psyche. The societal structures, from social circles to workplaces, all reward conformity, making it feel as though fitting in is not only desirable, but essential for personal well-being. This sense of belonging, while comforting, is also misleading. The comfort that comes with blending in is often a mask that conceals a much deeper issue: the loss of individuality. When we conform too much to societal expectations, we risk suppressing the parts of ourselves that make us unique: our thoughts, our ideas, our passions, and our creativity. This may seem harmless at first. After all, a cage that limits our growth and stifles our potential. The safety that conformity provides is a false sense of security. It's an illusion that, if we're not careful, can lead us to believe that avoiding conflict and standing in line with others will lead to fulfillment and happiness. But the truth is, while we may feel safe in the moment, we're actually denying ourselves the opportunity to grow into the people we are truly meant to be. We get caught in a cycle where we prioritize fitting and over standing out, and this can prevent us from reaching our full potential. When we're so focused on avoiding judgment and rejection, we stop questioning the rules, the norms, and the beliefs that guide our decisions. We stop thinking critically about the choices we make and the life we're leading. Instead, we live in a state of self-satisfaction, doing what is expected of us rather than what truly excites us or fulfills us. This danger is most apparent in the way we present ourselves on social media. Social media has created a new kind of conformity, with a pressure to fit in is not just a social concern, but a digital one as well. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are full of curated images and posts that reflect an idealized version of life. These platforms reward conformity with likes, comments, and shares, which can feel incredibly validating. But this external validation is fleeting and superficial. We post pictures that reflect a perfect version of ourselves, smiling, well-dressed, successful, and we receive positive reinforcement when we conform to this ideal. However, this idealized image is often far removed from the reality of who we are. The more we try to present ourselves in this polished way, the more we lose touch with our authentic selves. We begin to live for the likes and approval of others, rather than for our own sense of self-worth. This constant need for external validation becomes a dangerous loop. As we receive more likes and approval, we become more invested in this version of ourselves. We adjust our behavior, appearance, and even thoughts to align with the expectations of the crowd. It's easy to get lost in this process, to become so consumed with fitting in that we forget who we are beneath the surface. We start to measure our worth by the number of likes we get or the number of followers we have, rather than by the quality of our thoughts, actions, and relationships. And as we lose sight of who we truly are, we stop growing and evolving as individuals. This phenomenon is not limited to social media. It permeates all aspects of life at school, in the workplace, and even within our families. In many professional environments, there is an unspoken pressure to conform to company culture, to dress a certain way, to communicate in a specific manner, and to prioritize the collective over the individual. This isn't inherently bad. There's often value in working together and adhering to certain standards of professionalism. However, when conformity becomes the primary mode of behavior, it can stifle creativity, innovation, and personal expression. Employees may feel pressured to suppress their ideas or avoid suggesting unconventional solutions because they fear standing out or being judged. The focus shifts from doing what is best or what is innovative to doing what is most accepted or least disruptive. This cycle of self-satisfaction through conformity isn't just a professional or digital issue, it's a societal one. Society tends to reward those who follow the rules and fit within the established norms. The idea of the norm becomes a powerful force that dictates how we think, how we dress, and even how we behave. There's a pressure to look a certain way, act a certain way, and even think a certain way. For many, this creates a feeling of safety, a sense of knowing that they are accepted, that they belong. But when everyone is following the same set of rules, what happens to the people who don't fit in? What happens to the individuals who have different ideas, perspectives, and passions? Throughout history, the greatest innovations, discoveries, and revolutions have come from those who dared to step outside of the lines, to break away from the collective mindset, and to challenge the status quo. Think of pioneers like Steve Jobs, who revolutionized the tech industry, or Albert Einstein, whose theories reshaped our understanding of physics. These individuals didn't conform to the expectations of their time. They didn't seek validation from others. Instead, they embraced their unique vision and pursued it relentlessly, even when it meant standing alone. Their success didn't come from blending in, it came from standing out, from taking risks, and from rejecting the comfort of conformity. In our own lives, the challenge is to balance the desire for acceptance with the need for individuality. We must ask ourselves, are we conforming because it's truly what we want, or are we simply trying to avoid the discomfort of standing out? The reality is that true fulfillment doesn't come from blending in with the crowd. It comes from embracing our uniqueness and expressing ourselves authentically. It's only when we stop worrying about what others think and start living for ourselves that we can truly find happiness and purpose. The key to overcoming the false safety of conformity is self-awareness. It's about recognizing when we are seeking validation from others rather than staying true to our own values and desires. It's about having the courage to take risks, to be different, and to stand up for what we believe in, even if it means going against the grain. True growth and personal fulfillment come from embracing our individuality, from stepping outside our comfort zones, and from challenging the norms that society imposes on us. We may fear the judgment of others, but that fear is often a reflection of our own insecurity and the need for external validation. When we embrace who we truly are, our passions, quirks, and imperfections, we find that the judgment of others matters less and less. In fact, the more we embrace our individuality, the more we inspire others to do the same. We create an environment where authenticity is valued over conformity, and where creativity, innovation, and personal expression can thrive. Living authentically is not always easy, but it is the only way to experience true fulfillment. The safety that conformity offers is temporary and superficial. It's only by stepping outside the confines of the crowd and embracing our individuality that we can experience the real, lasting satisfaction that comes from living a life true to ourselves. So, the next time you feel the urge to blend in, to follow the crowd, remember that the true path to fulfillment lies not in conformity, but in authenticity. The road less traveled may be more difficult, but it's the one that leads to the most meaningful life. Individuality is more than just a call to action. It is a profound and essential need that resides deep within the soul of every person. The ability to think critically, to question assumptions, and to explore new perspectives is what allows us to escape the trap of monotony. It's not about opposing everything simply for the sake of opposition, but rather learning to challenge established beliefs and broaden our vision. In doing so, we not only contribute to our personal growth, but also play an integral part in the advancement of society as a whole. Consider, for instance, the role of an artist, an inventor, or a leader. If you only do what everyone else is doing, you will never create anything new. True innovation and creativity stem from the courage to be different, to think differently, and to act differently. It's about being willing to take the road less traveled, even if it means walking alone for a time. Great visionaries such as Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein didn't change the world because they followed the crowd. They changed the world because they dared to step outside the norms of their time, to question what everyone else accepted as the status quo, and to forge paths where none had existed before. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, revolutionized the world of technology not by adhering to industry norms, but by breaking them. Jobs didn't just want to make a better computer. He wanted to make a device that people loved, one that was not only functional, but also beautiful. When he returned to Apple in 1997 after being ousted from the company, he had to convince people, his team, the board, and the world that they needed to think differently. He told them, "The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." Jobs' refusal to conform to conventional ideas about technology and design led to the creation of products like the iPhone and the iPad, which transformed entire industries and reshaped modern life. If Jobs had simply followed the prevailing norms, Apple would never have become the global powerhouse it is today. Similarly, Albert Einstein, one of the greatest minds in history, was not content with simply accepting the prevailing scientific views of his time. In the early 20th century, the theories of Newtonian physics were considered gospel in the scientific community. But Einstein's critical thinking and imagination led him to develop the theory of relativity, which revolutionized our understanding of time, space, and gravity. At the time, many scientists thought his ideas were radical and even preposterous. But Einstein didn't conform to popular opinion. He dared to think differently, to challenge the assumptions of those around him. And as a result, he fundamentally changed the way we understand the universe. These examples highlight the power of individuality, how being willing to go against the grain, to challenge assumptions, and to think outside the box can lead to groundbreaking innovation and discovery. But individuality is not just for the extraordinary figures like Jobs and Einstein. It's a concept that we can all embrace in our own lives, regardless of our profession or ambitions. In our everyday lives, embracing individuality is essential for personal growth. We live in a world that often pushes us to conform. From a young age, we are told to fit in, to follow the rules, and to avoid standing out. But when we suppress our unique qualities and follow the crowd, we lose out on the opportunity to discover who we truly are and what we are truly capable of. The world needs people who are willing to bring their authentic selves to the table, people who think critically, who challenge assumptions, and who aren't afraid to stand out. When we embrace our individuality, we contribute to the richness and diversity of the world around us. We help to create a society that values creativity, innovation, and authentic expression. It's easy to get trapped in the cycle of conformity, where we measure our success by how well we fit in with the expectations of others. This is particularly true in environments like school and the workplace, where there are often clear guidelines for how to behave and what to believe. However, these systems can sometimes stifle the very qualities that make us unique. In school, for example, students are often rewarded for conforming to a set curriculum rather than for thinking outside the box or questioning what they're taught. While education is undoubtedly important, the rigid structures of traditional schooling can sometimes discourage students from developing the critical thinking skills they need to challenge assumptions and approach problems in new and creative ways. In the workplace, the pressure to fit in can be just as strong. Many corporate environments value uniformity and consensus, which can result in groupthink, a phenomenon where dissenting opinions are ignored or suppressed in favor of harmony. While cooperation and teamwork are vital, too much conformity can prevent innovation. Creativity thrives in environments where people are encouraged to think independently and share diverse perspectives. When everyone thinks the same way, no new ideas are introduced, and progress slows down. The key to unlocking our full potential is to embrace our individuality, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. It's about recognizing the value of our unique perspectives and being brave enough to express them, even when it means going against the grain. This requires the courage to face our fears, the fear of judgment, the fear of failure, and the fear of being different. But it is only through embracing these challenges that we can achieve true growth and fulfillment. By developing the strength to stand out, we not only unlock our own potential, but we also inspire others to do the same. Take, for example, the field of music. Musicians who embrace their individuality often produce the most iconic and influential work. Think of artists like David Bowie, Prince, or Lady Gaga. Each of them is known for their bold and unique approach to music and performance. They didn't conform to the traditional expectations of their genres. Instead, they broke boundaries, experimented with new sounds, and expressed themselves authentically. Their music didn't just follow trends, it helped create new ones. Through their individuality, they pushed the boundaries of what was possible in music, art, and culture. They inspired countless others to embrace their own creativity and to think for themselves. In our personal lives, individuality allows us to lead a more fulfilling and meaningful life. It helps us develop a deeper understanding of who we are and what we want out of life. By exploring different perspectives, engaging in critical thinking, and challenging the assumptions that society places on us, we can uncover new paths to happiness, success, and personal growth. This doesn't mean rejecting everything that society expects of us or being contrarian for the sake of being different. Rather, it means being willing to make decisions based on our values and passions rather than simply following the crowd. It's about creating a life that aligns with our true selves, not one that's shaped by external pressures. The importance of individuality extends beyond personal fulfillment. It plays a critical role in shaping the future of society. Societies evolve when individuals come together to share their unique perspectives and ideas. The progress of civilization depends on people challenging the norms and thinking critically about the way the world works. The most significant advancements in science, technology, the arts, and social justice have all come from individuals who dared to think differently. These people didn't just accept things as they imagined a better world and took bold steps to make a reality. Without individuality, we lose the diversity of thought that drives innovation and progress. When we all think the same way, when we all conform to the same beliefs and behaviors, we stagnate. True progress comes from the willingness to break free from the constraints of the conventional and to chart new, untraveled paths. Just as the great minds of the past did, we must have the courage to step away from the crowd, to question what is accepted, and to embrace the power of our own unique perspectives. In a world that often values conformity and uniformity, embracing individuality is an act of courage. It requires the willingness to face discomfort, to endure criticism, and to remain true to yourself, even when the world around you is encouraging you to fit in. But it is only through embracing our individuality that we can unlock the full potential of who we are. By doing so, we not only enrich our own lives, but also contribute to the progress of society, inspiring others to think for themselves and challenge the status quo. So, the next time you feel the pressure to conform, remember that true success and fulfillment lie not in fitting in, but in standing out. It is only through embracing our individuality that we can truly make a difference in the world and reach our fullest potential. The world needs people who are willing to think differently, to question assumptions, and to act boldly in the face of uncertainty. When we embrace our individuality, we not only change our own lives, but also inspire others to do the same, creating a ripple effect that can lead to meaningful change. In today's world, the phenomenon of groupthink presents a significant danger to both individual creativity and collective innovation. Groupthink refers to the tendency of people within a group to align their opinions and behaviors with the majority, often at the expense of critical thinking, creativity, and the consideration of alternative viewpoints. This blind conformity can create an illusion of consensus, leading to poor decision-making and even disastrous consequences. Groupthink inhibits progress, stifles innovation, and encourages conformity over individuality, ultimately undermining the potential for breakthrough ideas and solutions. A classic example of the dangers of groupthink can be found in the Challenger Space Shuttle disaster of 1986. The incident serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of disregarding dissenting opinions in favor of maintaining harmony within a group. Leading up to the launch of the Challenger shuttle, a group of engineers and decision-makers at NASA faced warning signs about the safety of the shuttle's O-rings in the cold weather conditions. Despite these concerns, the pressure to launch on schedule and the overwhelming consensus within the group led to a tragic decision. The engineers failed to act on their doubts, allowing the launch to proceed, which resulted in the catastrophic explosion shortly after takeoff. This tragedy is a textbook example of how groupthink can lead to disastrous outcomes. The engineers who expressed concerns about the shuttle's safety were effectively ignored or silenced by the dominant voices in the group. Where individuals suppress their own judgment to avoid conflict or dissent, leading to catastrophic consequences that could have been avoided with better critical thinking. The desire for consensus and the fear of rocking the boat can lead to poor decision-making, as individuals within the group avoid expressing dissenting opinions. In many organizations, there is a tacit pressure to agree with the majority or to follow the prevailing direction, even when it might not align with one's personal insights or the available evidence. This pressure can prevent people from speaking out or challenging the group's assumptions, leading to poor outcomes that could have been avoided with a more open and critical approach. The rise of echo chambers in today's digital age has only exacerbated the impact of groupthink. The advent of social media and algorithm-driven content distribution has created an environment where people are increasingly exposed only to viewpoints that align with their existing beliefs and opinions. On platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, algorithms prioritize content that reinforces users' preferences and biases, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of agreement and validation. This phenomenon contributes to the formation of echo chambers, environments where people are surrounded by like-minded individuals, and opposing viewpoints are often ignored or dismissed. Echo chambers are particularly dangerous because they reinforce the illusion of consensus and create an environment where people believe that their opinions are universally shared. This phenomenon is not limited to politics, though it is particularly pronounced in that domain. Social media platforms often amplify ideological echo chambers, where individuals with similar political views gather to reaffirm each other's beliefs. Instead of fostering meaningful debate and intellectual diversity, these platforms tend to encourage conformity, where individuals are more likely to engage with content that confirms their worldview and less likely to challenge or engage with opposing viewpoints. The impact of echo chambers on society is profound. When individuals are exposed only to information that reinforces their existing beliefs, they become less open to new ideas or alternative perspectives. This can lead to a polarized society, where people become entrenched in their views and are less willing to engage in productive discussions. Political polarization is one of the most visible effects of echo chambers, but the effects go beyond politics. In the realm of science, for example, the spread of misinformation about topics like climate change or vaccination has been amplified by echo chambers, where people who reject scientific consensus are surrounded by others who share their skepticism. This creates a feedback loop that prevents individuals from engaging with credible evidence and expert opinion, ultimately undermining progress and innovation. The rise of groupthink and echo chambers also has serious implications for creativity and innovation. Creativity thrives in an environment where diverse perspectives are welcomed and encouraged. When people are encouraged to think critically, challenge assumptions, and engage with differing viewpoints, they're more likely to come up with new and innovative ideas. However, when groupthink dominates, creativity is stifled. When everyone in a group agrees on a single approach or idea, there is little room for new ideas to emerge. The dynamic of consensus can lead to a kind of intellectual stagnation, where alternative perspectives are ignored and new possibilities are never considered. For example, in the business world, companies that embrace groupthink are often slow to innovate and adapt to changing markets. Consider Blockbuster, the once dominant video rental chain, which failed to adapt to the rise of digital streaming. Blockbuster's executives were hesitant to embrace the changes in technology, despite the growing popularity of platforms like Netflix. The company's failure to acknowledge the shifting market and the value of online streaming was a result of groupthink. The prevailing mindset within the company was that the traditional video rental model was the only viable option. As a result, Blockbuster missed out on an opportunity to lead the transition to digital media and ultimately lost its dominant position in the market. Similarly, in the tech industry, many companies have been slow to embrace new technologies or business models due to groupthink. In some cases, the dominant voices within the organization discourage risk-taking and new approaches, preferring to stick with the status quo. This resistance to change can prevent companies from being able to capitalize on new trends or innovations, ultimately leading to their decline. The impact of groupthink extends beyond business and politics. It is also a significant issue in education. In many schools and universities, there is a strong emphasis on conformity in terms of academic performance and behavior. Students are often encouraged to follow the prescribed path, completing assignments, taking standardized tests, and following a strict curriculum without being encouraged to think critically or question the material. This focus on conformity can stifle students' creativity and intellectual curiosity, preventing them from developing the independent thinking skills that are crucial for their future success. Education systems that prioritize conformity over critical thinking create environments where students are rewarded for memorizing information rather than for engaging with ideas and exploring new concepts. In many ways, groupthink and echo chambers represent two sides of the same coin. Groupthink encourages conformity within a group, discouraging dissenting opinions and alternative perspectives. Echo chambers, on the other hand, reinforce this conformity by creating spaces where individuals are insulated from viewpoints that challenge their own. Both phenomena undermine the diversity of thought that is essential for progress and innovation. They create an environment where creativity is stifled, new ideas are ignored, and individuals are pressured to conform to the prevailing group consensus. Breaking free from the grip of groupthink requires a deliberate effort to encourage diversity of thought and to foster an environment where dissenting opinions are valued. In business, education, politics, and society at large, We must create spaces where people are encouraged to think critically, to challenge assumptions, and to embrace the value of differing viewpoints. This means creating a culture where failure is seen as a learning opportunity, where dissent is not only tolerated but encouraged, and where new ideas are welcomed rather than suppressed. One way to combat groupthink is to actively seek out diverse perspectives, whether in the workplace, the classroom, or social circles. We should make an effort to engage with people who have different backgrounds, experiences, and viewpoints. By doing so, we can foster a more inclusive environment that encourages creativity, critical thinking, and innovation. It is only by embracing diversity of thought, perspective, and experience that we can break free from the constraints of groupthink and echo chambers. Moreover, it's essential to create environments where courageous conversations can take place. This involves encouraging individuals to voice their concerns, challenge assumptions, and express alternative viewpoints without fear of reprisal. When groupthink dominates, individuals often refrain from speaking up because they fear being ostracized or ridiculed. Creating spaces where people feel safe to disagree and to present new ideas is crucial for promoting healthy discourse and fostering innovation. In conclusion, the dangers of groupthink are real and pervasive, affecting not only business and politics, but also education and personal relationships. The pressure to conform to the opinions and ideas of the group can stifle creativity, prevent innovation, and lead to poor decision-making. As society becomes increasingly polarized and entrenched in echo chambers, it is more important than ever to encourage diversity of thought and to foster environments where dissenting opinions are valued. By doing so, we can break free from the constraints of groupthink and create a world that celebrates creativity, critical thinking, and the free exchange of ideas. The challenge of breaking free from the constraints of conformity is one that nearly everyone faces at some point in their lives. The pressure to fit in, to follow the crowd, and to meet the expectations of society is pervasive, and it can feel incredibly difficult to rise above. But the key to overcoming this challenge, the answer to freeing oneself from the suffocating grip of social conformity, is daring to be different. It's not enough to simply recognize the problem. To truly break free, we must choose to embrace our uniqueness and go against the grain. So, how do we begin this journey towards self-assertion? The first step is to surround ourselves with like-minded individuals, people who understand and appreciate the value of individuality. These are the people who will offer support and encouragement when we decide to take risks, when we choose to deviate from the conventional path, and when we dare to be different. It's crucial to find your tribe, a community of people who respect and encourage your uniqueness, rather than trying to force you into a mold that doesn't fit. Your tribe can offer emotional support, validation, and the sense of belonging that can give you the courage to push past your fears and insecurities. In today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with expectations, whether from social media, family, or professional circles, the desire to conform can be overwhelming. The fear of rejection or judgment can often paralyze us, making it difficult to take the first step toward asserting our individuality. But the truth is that no one can ever truly succeed or realize their full potential unless they're willing to confront and move beyond these fears. It's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to please everyone, of seeking approval from others. But the reality is that this pursuit of approval only keeps us stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and limitation. Think about some of the most influential figures in history, people who have changed the world, not because they followed the crowd, but because they chose to be different, to think differently, and to act boldly. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, is a perfect example. Jobs didn't become the revolutionary figure he is known for today by adhering to the traditional norms of the tech industry. He pushed the boundaries of what was considered possible, creating products that redefined the relationship between people and technology. Jobs famously said, "The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." He embraced his individuality and dared to challenge the status quo. And that boldness ultimately transformed not just Apple, but the entire tech industry. Similarly, Oprah Winfrey became one of the most influential women in the world by staying true to herself, despite the many challenges she faced. Oprah's rise to success wasn't because she conformed to the expectations of others, quite the opposite. In fact, she built her career around authenticity, emotional connection, and breaking the mold of what was expected from female TV hosts at the time. Oprah's willingness to be vulnerable, to speak from the heart, and to embrace her personal story has been a driving force behind her success. She made it clear that it wasn't about fitting into the mold. It's found by stepping up and standing out, by having the courage to be yourself, no matter what others think. This is the essence of true personal growth and self-actualization, acknowledging that your uniqueness is your greatest asset and that the world is better off for it. To embark on the journey of asserting your individuality, the first step is self-awareness. This means taking a deep, honest look at who you are, your values, your passions, your strengths, and your weaknesses, and accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. It's about shedding the masks that you've worn to please others and allowing your authentic self to emerge. Self-awareness is the foundation of self-assertion because without it, we can't know what makes us unique or what we stand for. It's easy to get caught up in the noise of other people's opinions, but only by taking the time to reflect on our own inner truth can we begin to carve out a path that is truly our own. For many people, the fear of judgment is one of the most significant barriers to embracing their individuality. We worry that others will think we're strange, arrogant, or out of touch with reality. We fear that by standing out, we'll be criticized or excluded. But the truth is, everyone has their own unique strengths, perspectives, and talents. It's these very differences that make us valuable to the world. When we choose to embrace our individuality, we give others permission to do the same. It's a ripple effect that spreads outward, encouraging others to break free from the expectations placed upon them and to explore their own unique path. One of the biggest obstacles to personal growth is the tendency to compare ourselves to others. It's easy to look around and feel that everyone else is succeeding while we're still struggling to find our way. Social media only amplifies this feeling of inadequacy, presenting a curated version of people's lives that seems perfect and without flaw. But the truth is that everyone has their own journey, and comparing your progress to someone else's is not only counterproductive, it's harmful. The key to breaking free from this cycle of comparison is to focus on your own growth and progress, and to recognize that everyone has their own unique timeline. Just because someone else is further along in their journey doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're on your own path. And that path may look different from theirs. Building self-confidence is another crucial aspect of standing up and asserting your individuality. Confidence isn't about being arrogant or self-absorbed. It's about trusting yourself and your abilities, knowing that you have something valuable to offer. Confidence comes from taking small steps toward embracing who you truly are and proving to yourself that you are capable of following your own path, even when it's difficult. One of the best ways to build confidence is through action, taking steps, however small, toward your goals and seeing the progress for yourself. Each small victory, no matter how insignificant it may seem, reinforces the belief that you are capable and worthy of success. Overcoming the fear of judgment and criticism is essential in this journey. It's inevitable that when we step into the light of our own individuality, some people will criticize us or disagree with our choices. But here's the truth. Most of the criticism we fear never comes. And when it does, it's often rooted in the insecurity of the person offering it, not in the validity of our choices. The more we can learn to disregard the judgment of others and stay focused on our own truth, the more empowered we become. The world is full of people who didn't follow the crowd and, as a result, changed the course of history. By embracing our individuality, we honor those who have paved the way before us and contribute to a future where creativity, innovation, and authenticity are celebrated. As you venture down this path of self-discovery and self-assertion, it's important to remember that embracing individuality doesn't mean rejecting others or creating division. It's about being true to yourself while respecting and supporting the journeys of others. A world where everyone embraces their uniqueness is one where creativity flourishes, where people are empowered to pursue their passions, and where innovation knows no bounds. By choosing to embrace your individuality, you become part of a collective movement that values authenticity over conformity and creativity over complacency. The act of standing up and asserting yourself is both an act of personal freedom and a gift to the world. When you decide to pursue your own path, to follow your own dreams, and to live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. It creates a domino effect where more and more people begin to embrace their uniqueness, leading to a world that celebrates individuality and the contributions of diverse voices. In the end, the road to personal fulfillment and success is paved with the courage to be different. Embrace who you are, trust in your unique abilities, and take the necessary steps to carve out a path that reflects your true self. The fear of judgment will always exist, but so will the rewards of living authentically. When you dare to be yourself, you not only transform your own life, you contribute to the transformation of the world around you. Living authentically is often misunderstood as merely the act of rejecting societal norms and expectations. While defying the crowd is one aspect, it is far more profound. To live authentically means embracing who we are, flaws and all, and accepting our imperfections as part of our unique identity. This journey is about much more than choosing to go against the grain. It's about understanding that we are not defined by society's idea of perfection. We are not expected to be flawless. It is our quirks, our flaws, and our imperfections that make us who we are. When we learn to accept ourselves, including our weaknesses and flaws, we become empowered to step away from societal pressures and start carving our own path, one that aligns with our true selves. One of the most difficult aspects of self-acceptance is learning to love yourself despite the messages society constantly sends us about who we should be. From a young age, we are conditioned by various sources, our families, schools, media, and even social circles to meet certain expectations. These expectations are often based on unrealistic standards of beauty, success, or social behavior. The relentless pursuit of these ideals can lead us to feel inadequate or not good enough. But true self-acceptance is the recognition that imperfection is part of being human. It is about acknowledging that we are all works in progress, continuously evolving, and that our worth is not determined by how closely we align with an idealized version of ourselves. Think about the pressure to be perfect that is so prevalent in today's culture. Social media platforms, for example, often present highly curated versions of people's lives, polished images of success, beauty, and happiness that create an environment where only the best moments are shared. It's easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to these perfect portrayals of life. We may feel like we need to meet those standards to be accepted or to be seen as valuable. However, this pursuit of perfection can be exhausting, and it often leads to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Embracing authenticity, on the other hand, means recognizing the beauty in our flaws, in the way we struggle, learn, and grow. It means being comfortable in our own skin, without needing external validation to define our worth. This process of self-acceptance is not an instant one. It takes time and reflection. It requires us to overcome societal expectations and learn to listen to our inner voice instead of being constantly swayed by the opinions of others. The pressure to conform is immense, whether it's the pressure to look a certain way, to achieve specific career milestones, or to act in ways that society deems acceptable. But breaking free from these external pressures begins with the realization that we are already enough as we are. We do not need to change ourselves to meet anyone else's expectations. Our worth is inherent, And it is through embracing who we truly are that we find the strength to pursue our own path. This journey of self-acceptance and living authentically is also about defining success on our own terms. The traditional definition of success, measured by wealth, career status, or material possessions, often doesn't lead to lasting fulfillment. Society places significant value on these external achievements, and many people spend their lives chasing after them without ever questioning whether these goals align with their personal desires or values. In many ways, society defines success in a narrow and one-dimensional way. But true success goes beyond these societal metrics. Success should not be measured by how much money we have, the title on our business card, or how many followers we've gained on social media. These external markers may bring temporary satisfaction, but they do not provide lasting happiness or a sense of purpose. Real success comes from following our passions, from pursuing what lights us up, and from doing work that aligns with our deepest values and desires. It is about finding fulfillment in the process, not just in the end result. One of the most inspiring examples of this shift in defining success is the story of J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before she became one of the world's most famous authors, Rowling was living in near poverty and struggling with personal issues. She was rejected by multiple publishers before finally finding success with the first Harry Potter book. But what's most significant about her story isn't her eventual success. It's the way she found meaning and purpose in her writing. Rowling's success didn't come from chasing fame or fortune. It came from her dedication to her craft and her desire to share her stories with the world. She embraced her love for writing and pursued it despite the challenges and rejections. Today, her books are loved by millions, and her success is defined not by wealth, but by her ability to inspire and bring joy to others. In many ways, success should be seen as a journey, not a destination. The act of pursuing something meaningful, whether it's a career, a passion, or a relationship, is itself a form of success. When we shift our focus from external validation to personal fulfillment, we begin to lead lives that feel truly rewarding and aligned with who we are. The key to finding true happiness and fulfillment lies in identifying what makes us feel alive, what brings us joy, and what gives our lives meaning. When we live authentically, we also become more resilient. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, and it can be difficult to stay motivated in the face of adversity. But when we are in alignment with our true selves, when we are pursuing our passions and living according to our own values, we are more likely to persevere through difficult times. Authenticity creates a strong foundation upon which we can build resilience. When we are living in harmony with who we truly are, we become more equipped to handle the inevitable challenges that life throws our way. Living authentically also means setting boundaries. It's about saying no to the things that drain our energy and saying yes to the things that support our well-being and growth. This can be particularly challenging in a world where we are often encouraged to please others and be constantly available. Setting boundaries allows us to protect our energy and ensure that we are living in a way that honors our true needs. In relationships, living authentically can be especially liberating. We often feel the pressure to conform to what others expect from us, especially in close relationships with family, friends, or partners. But when we stop pretending to be something we're not, we free ourselves from the weight of others' expectations and create space for more genuine and fulfilling connections. Authentic relationships are built on mutual respect, acceptance, and understanding. When we allow ourselves to be fully seen by others, we invite deeper connections that are rooted in love and trust rather than obligation or fear of judgment. Ultimately, the journey to living authentically and finding personal fulfillment is a deeply individual process. It's not about following a set of rules or meeting someone else's standards. It's about carving out your own path and defining what matters most to you. Success, in its truest sense, is about finding meaning in the life you create, not in the life that others expect you to live. It's about aligning your daily actions with your values and staying true to your inner self, regardless of the opinions of others. This is where true freedom lies, in living life on your terms, with the confidence that you are enough just as you are. When you embrace self-acceptance, you open up the possibility to experience life with greater clarity, purpose, and joy. You begin to attract opportunities that are aligned with your true desires, and you make decisions that reflect your values and goals. You stop trying to fit into someone else's box and start creating your own. The journey towards self-actualization is one of continuous growth and exploration, where you discover new depths of your potential and find fulfillment in the process, not just the outcome. It's about becoming the person you were always meant to be, not the person others think you should be. As you begin to embrace your individuality, you will notice that success takes on new meaning. Living authentically allows you to experience life in its fullest form, to pursue what matters most to you, and to find purpose in every step of your journey. The beauty of living authentically is that it brings you closer to your true self, and in doing so, brings you closer to true happiness. To follow the norms and to avoid standing out is overwhelming in many areas of life, whether in the workplace, in social circles, or even within families. These external pressures create an environment where people are conditioned to abandon their individuality and instead focus on blending in with the crowd. This pursuit of conformity, however, ultimately stifles creativity, personal growth, and the potential for authentic self-expression. Conformity is a deceptive force. At first glance, it may seem like the safest and most logical choice. After all, when we conform, we avoid conflict, we gain acceptance, and we blend into the social fabric of the world around us. But over time, the act of conforming forces us to suppress our true selves, leaving us with a life that is shaped more by the expectations of others than by our own desires. Individuality, on the other hand, is the key that unlocks personal freedom and success. When we embrace who we truly are, when we stop trying to fit into a mold created by society, we open the door to endless possibilities and allow ourselves to live authentically. At its core, embracing individuality is about recognizing that we don't have to conform to societal standards or expectations in order to succeed. Success does not come from mimicking the paths of others or adhering to the same rules that everyone else follows. True success comes from embracing our unique qualities, from finding the courage to express ourselves authentically, and from creating a life that reflects our own values, passions, and ambitions. It is through this embracing of individuality that we can truly contribute to the world, bringing forth ideas, innovations, and experiences that can only come from us as individuals. One of the most powerful examples of the strength of individuality is seen in the stories of people who have dared to break away from the norm and follow their own paths. Think of Albert Einstein. For instance, Einstein didn't become one of the most influential scientists in history by following the conventional scientific methods of his time. Instead, he questioned everything, embraced unconventional ideas, and thought in ways that no one else had. His theories revolutionized the way we understand space and time, and his willingness to challenge the scientific community's established norms changed the course of modern physics. He didn't fear being different. He understood that being different was precisely what allowed him to make the groundbreaking discoveries that would shape the future of science. Similarly, Steve Jobs did not achieve the monumental success that he did by simply conforming to the expectations of the tech industry. Instead, Jobs reimagined what technology could be, blending sleek design with powerful functionality in a way that no one else had done before. His ability to think outside the box, to challenge the established norms of the tech world, and to embrace his unique vision allowed him to build Apple into the company it is today. Jobs didn't follow the crowd, he led it. And in doing so, he changed the way we interact with technology and the world around us. These examples, among many others, illustrate the profound impact that embracing individuality can have on both our own lives and the world around us. When we dare to be different, when we choose to live authentically and express our unique perspectives, we not only enrich our own lives, but we also inspire others to do the same. The ripple effect of this authenticity creates a society where diversity of thought, creativity, and innovation thrive. It's important to recognize that embracing individuality doesn't mean rejecting society entirely or living in complete opposition to everything around us. Instead, it's about finding balance, choosing the path that aligns with our values and beliefs, while also respecting others who do the same. It's about recognizing that we are all unique, and that our differences are not something to be feared, but something to be celebrated. Living authentically doesn't always come easily. The fear of judgment and rejection can be paralyzing, especially in a world that often values conformity over individuality. The desire to fit in, to be accepted, and to avoid standing out can create a powerful force that holds us back from being our true selves. But the courage to be yourself, to stand apart from the crowd, and embrace your uniqueness, is precisely what allows you to reach your fullest potential. This courage isn't just about defying others. It's about defying the expectations we place on ourselves and choosing to live a life that is true to who we are, not who we think we should be. A key part of this journey is recognizing that success is not defined by external achievements or validation. Society often tells us that success is about accumulating wealth, acquiring status, or achieving fame. These external markers are often seen as the ultimate indicators of success, but they don't necessarily lead to fulfillment. In fact, chasing these external goals can sometimes leave us feeling empty, as if we are living someone else's life. True success, instead, comes from following our own passions and pursuing what brings us joy. It's about defining success on our own terms, creating a life that is aligned with our values, desires, and ambitions, rather than one shaped by the expectations of others. Take the example of Oprah Winfrey. Oprah's success wasn't defined by external standards. She didn't follow the traditional path to fame and fortune. Rather, she embraced her own unique voice and perspective, which allowed her to build a media empire that resonates deeply with millions of people. Her success was not just about money or recognition. It was about living authentically and creating a platform that allowed others to do the same. When we embrace individuality, we free ourselves from the constraints of external expectations and begin to live in alignment with our true purpose. This is not to say that societal standards or expectations are inherently bad. They often serve as guidelines for social interaction and collaboration. However, when these norms start to dictate every aspect of our lives and suppress our individuality, they become limiting and restrictive. Living authentically means taking the time to reflect on what truly matters to us, what makes us happy, what we value, and what kind of legacy we want to leave behind. In our pursuit of living authentically, self-acceptance plays a crucial role. To truly be ourselves, we must first accept ourselves, our strengths, our weaknesses, our past experiences, and our flaws. Acceptance doesn't mean complacency. It means embracing who we are, flaws and all, and acknowledging that we don't have to be perfect to be valuable. This acceptance frees us from the constant pressure to conform and allows us to move forward in life with confidence and clarity. When we learn to accept ourselves, we stop seeking validation from others. We stop measuring our worth based on how closely we adhere to societal expectations or the approval of others. This self-validation is what allows us to step into our own power and create a life that is uniquely ours. When we live authentically, we experience life in its fullest form, full of passion, purpose, and meaning. Moreover, by embracing our individuality, we inspire others to do the same. When we live authentically and courageously, we set an example for those around us. We show them that it's okay to be different, to pursue our own path, and to create lives that are true to ourselves. This ripple effect can have a profound impact, as it encourages others to shed the fear of judgment and to embrace their own unique qualities. It's important to note that living authentically is not always easy. It requires a willingness to face discomfort, to confront the fear of rejection, and to overcome the societal pressures that seek to shape us into something we're not. But the rewards are immense. When we embrace our true selves, we open up a world of possibility, one where we can pursue our passions, create meaningful connections, and contribute to the world in ways that are deeply aligned with our values. Ultimately, the world needs your uniqueness. It needs your voice, your perspective, your creativity, and your individuality. The more we embrace and celebrate our differences, the more we enrich our lives and the lives of others. When we stop trying to fit in and start standing out, we contribute to a world that is richer, more diverse, and more open to the endless possibilities that come from human creativity and authenticity. Don't be afraid to be different, because in the end, it is your difference that is your greatest strength. By embracing who you are, you unlock the potential not only to live a fulfilling and meaningful life, but also to inspire those around you to do the same. As we wrap up today's discussion, I hope you've gained a fresh perspective on what it means to live authentically. It's clear that conformity might feel comfortable in the short term, but it ultimately traps us in a cycle of self-doubt, limits our creativity, and keeps us from reaching our fullest potential. When we dare to embrace our individuality, we not only enrich our own lives, but we inspire others to do the same. Living authentically is about accepting yourself, flaws, and all, and rejecting the idea that success is defined by external standards. True fulfillment comes from within, from pursuing what genuinely excites us, and from carving our own path in a world that constantly tries to box us in. The world needs your uniqueness. Your voice, your perspective, your talents, they're what make you irreplaceable. And they're what can change the world. Now, more than ever, it's time to embrace who you are and live a life that's true to you. Remember, your individuality is your power. And when you tap into that, you'll discover that the possibilities for your future are limitless. If you enjoyed this video and want more content on how to live authentically, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family who may need this reminder. And if you'd like to support the channel even more, consider leaving a super thanks below. It helps me keep creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the world is waiting for you to be your true self. Don't be afraid to stand out and live authentically. Stay true, and I'll see you in the next video.